This is the Aftermarket Radio Network. Hey everybody, Carm Capriato, good to have you here. Remarkable Results Radio nearing in on the 1000th episode of our radio. Glad to have you here. Hey, don't forget, in October, you know I'm a big fan and supporter of Breaks for Breasts, breaksforbreasts.com. It's for the triple-negative breast cancer vaccine that they're working on that are in clinical trials. $1.8 million has been raised so far. Started by two shop owner females. Great story behind it, and we've been so lucky to be at the Cleveland Clinic where the check is presented each and every year for the last 3 years. I am such a fan of this, and I don't think I know you need to be involved. Breaksforbreasts.com. Hey, Tony Molla, what better guest could I have on here in the heat of the summer in August? I don't know when this episode will go up, but we're recording it at 105-degree temperature in Texas.
In Texas, yeah. Hi, Carm. Great to be here.
Oh, my God. Tony Molla, Field Manager, ASE Education Foundation, right?
Yes. That's what I'm doing these days, so.
Registration is now open for AAPEX 2024, November 5th through the 7th. You know, AAPEX will build upon the incredible success of Joe's Garage, a 10-bay working environment. From hands-on to the best training, if you earn your living in the auto service aftermarket, AAPEX is for you. Visit AAPEXshow.com. Hey, did you know that Napa Tracks has on-site training plus 6 days a week support? It all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice. Let us prove to you that Trax is the single best shop management system in the business. Find Napa Trax on the web at napatracs.com. Also, thanks to AftermarketManagementNetwork.com for information that can help you move your business ahead, and for the free and informative LaborRateTracker.com. Tony, you are one of the most incredible survivors that I've gotten to know in the industry. And listen, his resume is so long that it'll take a half hour to read it. But let me just give you some highlights. VP of ASE Automotive Service Association for years. Boy, you were technician, service manager, parts store manager, new car sales, automotive technical editor, winning awards from Chilton. But one of the most interesting things is about the 9 years as editorial director of Motor Age. I hear they're making a big celebration of late.
They are, actually. I was just talking with Chris yesterday, as a matter of fact. I have my career library behind me here, and I had some memorabilia from the 100th anniversary of Motor Age. That happened in 1999. It was 1899 the first issue was published. I was actually recruited to go to work for ASE that year, but part of the deal was to wait until the 100th anniversary. I have just enough ego that I wanted to be the editor-in-chief when Motor Age turned 100. But plus, there was a rather large celebration we've been planning all year. I definitely didn't want to miss that. But yeah, they're celebrating 125 years. I believe they're going to have a little event at their booth at AAPEX this year. So if you're in the area, look up Chris.
And many, many other things. Honorary lifetime member of MAX. So look at, we are here to talk about one of my favorite topics, and I want to warn my audience. If you turn this off, I am going to know that you did. Through, I don't know, the power and the magic of the internet. But we're going to talk about what we have to do to improve our industry by getting involved in education and parents. And I'm telling you, I am so big on this, Tony, that one day people are going to say, Carm, stop it for a moment. I get it. I'm with you. I'll do it. And so, Tone, what's it take to build a skill set in the automotive, and what do we got to do to talk to our darn parents to get their kids involved? Because they do know and love to work with their hands, not their, they don't want to be lawyers and doctors.
Yeah. Well, things are changing, Carm. The people aren't looking at the post-secondary education, we call it, the colleges, as much as they used to for a variety of reasons. But I think that we're beginning to realize that there is opportunities on the trade side of the equation. We call it the trade side. I call it new collar instead of blue collar. That came from another individual in the industry, but it's true. Right now, it takes as much training and education to become an automotive technician as it does basically to become a network engineer. We're dealing with that level of technology. And it's something that in my day, which was quite a while ago, you could get a job at a gas station, which is what I did, and learn to work on brakes, tires, steering, and suspension, by being a mechanic's helper, if you will. But the vehicles were a lot simpler back then. And all that changed in the 80s when the cars became computerized. You mentioned Motor Age. I happened to be the chief editor of Motor Age during the transition into the electronic engine control systems that we have on vehicles today. And it's only gotten more complex. ADAS, Advanced Driver Assist Systems, anti-lock brakes, you know all the terms. Well, all of these electronic marvels require a great deal of expertise and a great deal of knowledge to understand how to find the problem when things go wrong. Right now, to become an automotive technician, I talk to parents all the time. And by the way, parents are the primary influencers, okay? So participating in career days, volunteering your time if you're a shop owner with your local CTE advisory council is a great way to get involved to help tell individuals exactly what the truth is about a career in the automotive industry. You know, parents tend to think of the garage and stop there. That's only a doorway to a much larger universe. You and I both know that. And you and I are both good examples of all the different possibilities you can have in the automotive industry. But you need to start with a solid foundation. And right now, you need to get involved if you're interested in, at the high school level, in a Career and Technology Education CTE program. That will give you the basics of what you need. Once you graduate from a 2-year program, especially an accredited program where they train the students up to ASE standards, so they graduate actually with some ASE certifications, the entry-level certifications. The fact that there's national standards being looked at makes sure that the education they're getting is going to equip them to be employable when they graduate high school, okay? And a lot of them do go right to work. But if you really want to hone your skills and, go for the bigger jobs, there's 2 ways to do it. One is to, if you leave from high school, getting involved in, say, the dealer community or a collision repair, if you happen to be interested in that, where you might have some access to some additional factory training. Or a lot of students go on to post-secondary programs. We have some tremendously capable post-secondary programs here in Texas and around the country where we're preparing students to the next level. Not just a 2-year endeavor anymore. It's a 4-year, just like any other college degree. You have to have the level of training. And at that, once you enter the industry, you're going to be eminently employable right off the bat because we still have a shortage of qualified people, not warm bodies. But
Tony, let me stop you for a moment. I think the audience knows that I participate on the advisory board of our local post-secondary 2-year college here in the Buffalo, New York area. And we have completely changed our curriculum. We have added an AOS degree versus an AAS as we were discovering why were some of the young people, failing out. And we're working on a program to get them driver training because as an intern, they've got to have the ability to get what they have to get because so many young people don't have licenses today. And so 100% with you. We are evolving. And I wrote an article recently for the Napa Insights magazine called There's a Crack in the Foundation and We Need to Fill It. And it's all about the CTE programs. So this is a perfect tie-in. And I've got to make that article available on my downloads page. I probably need a few days to get that done. But I want people to get it and I want them to read it and see what I saw when I toured one of these CTE centers here in the Buffalo, New York area. And it really opened my eyes that there's so much more work that we have to do. And that's why you're here. We're talking about this.
When I retired, I didn't want to just leave the industry completely. And I sat on the advisory council of CS Monroe Technology Center when I was working for ASE in Virginia for about 10 years. I always enjoyed working with the students, working with the instructors. So when the opportunity came up for a field manager's position in Texas, I jumped at the chance. It's kind of amazing. There's a great deal of challenges in the educational community across the nation these days. Most of it has to do with resources and funding. Texas does a pretty good job of funding their CTE programs. So they've got some really nice programs. There's an old joke here that I hear, if you took the students out, you could actually make money in these things because they're as well equipped as any top end dealership are these days. But that's the level of training that you need. Getting involved, I can't stress how important it is for individuals working in the industry to be able to talk with the students and with the parents about the opportunities, because the opportunities are legion. They're all over the place.
Tony, we need to go out and talk to our parents about job prospects and what kind of jobs exist in our industry. And what is it going to take? Carm, you're talking about it again. Okay, get off your butt and do something about it. I'm talking to my listener. And how do I do that? Well, how about this? Find one of those CTE centers, knock on the door, press the button outside, because I don't think you can just walk in today in today's real world, and say, hey, I own a shop down the road, And I'd love to have a chance to talk to your CTE instructors in automotive technology and or go visit with the students. You would be probably given the key to the city.
That's actually quite true. They're always looking for industry involvement. In fact, it's very important. We talk about parents being engaged. It's just as important to have local industry engage with the programs in their area, because this is their pipeline of talent coming up. And if you're involved in an advisory council or career days, or you're friendly with the instructor, you can not only advise them on what they should be teaching in your particular area, because it does vary from one to the other. They all try to teach to a national standard, but you may have some specific needs that the instructor needs to hear about. That's how they adjust the curriculum, et cetera. Carm, it all comes down to getting back involved.
Okay. So we're sitting around, Tony, talking to an instructor. There's probably about 25 independents, and we all went off into different little cluster groups. And the one that I was in, a couple of the independents were sitting with the instructor and says, do you have any idea what, a real good technology specialist could earn working for our place, doing all that really heavy diagnostic work? And they didn't have a clue. And somebody told them what they were paying their top people. And they said, I thought you could only make that at a dealership. Maybe not always necessarily you can, but independents realize that this is the kind of money we're becoming more profitable every day. And we're doing it because we need to hire great talent, and we're bringing them additional training. It was almost to the point where the instructor was almost willing to say, got a job? And so my point of all of this is, again, love the dealership. They're an important element of our industry, but it's not always necessarily the right place to be headed. And if we don't go in there and talk to the students and to the CTE instructors, the automotive instructors, we're looking for interns, we're looking for apprentices, and we need to change their perception of the professionalism of our industry, because it's basically watch us on TV, Tony. You know the drill. I've talked about it on your show, your own podcast for ASE. My God, we don't have a great image.
We don't. And again, it's a dated image, unfortunately, that we have. But what you say about the independent repair community is important, because while a lot of the students do end up at a dealership because they're the ones that show up and really recruit, they tend to gravitate more into the independent aftermarket over time for some very good reasons. And I have to tell you, there are several independent shops I sit on about a dozen advisory councils now here in Texas. The most involved individuals are the independent repair shops. And let me tell you, they have, in many cases, the same level of benefits, the same level of 401ks, generally vacation. Some of them offer 5-day work weeks. So they realize that they have to offer the same kind of benefits, because you're not just competing with dealers, you're competing with Boeing, okay, for the talent that we have in this industry. And I think we need to realize that you really, just like if you're going to be a car manufacturer, you have to have quality just to get in the game. Here, we have to have the benefits and the lifestyle, allowances for the next generation. They want to work to live, not live to work. And that's an important thing to take under consideration. And those who realize that and offer the benefits, offer the compensation that they require, and don't get a great talented kid out of school and leave them stuck on a lube rack for 12 years,
Absolutely. Tony, look at where you started, Tony. Come on, let's go back. Let's use you as an example of all the most incredible jobs that have influenced our industry, from both in publishing and to being association executives with ASE, now back with ASE. And when I think about, again, Ryan Koyman, Director of Training for Standard Motor Products, started as a diagnostician. Many years ago, probably a mechanical tech, and then into the diag part. The opportunities, and I think you were alluding to it earlier in our industry. So let's talk about Boeing. I love the example. I'm going to try to tie this together. I am mechanical. I love to work with my hands. I got this brain and eye thing going. And I did some automotive technology. I went to work for a shop, and it really wasn't my cup of tea. I wasn't being treated right. The culture wasn't right. The pay wasn't right. I found this opportunity at a manufacturing place, Ford, GM, whatever it is. And I fell in love, and this is great. And yeah, I could work with my hands, and I guess it's maybe redundant, boring work, but I made a lot of money. There are so many opportunities inside of our industry that you just don't sometimes have to stop at being a mechanical specialist or technology specialist. Maybe you go to work on the counter, you buy a shop, you go to work. You know how many people in our industry are looking for workers? Forget about our own service industry, the distribution side, the manufacturing side. Everybody's looking for great talent that get and understand our industry. You can go anywhere
George Ahrens calls that the lattice, not the ladder. Okay. And it's true. I started out busting tires and changing oil at a Sinclair gas station when I was 16 years old. Okay. Those opportunities don't exist anymore. It's a little more complicated than that. But the long and short of it is there is a learning curve that you have to go through. Even when you do come out of these training programs, you are always going to be learning because automotive technology is advancing that quickly. The trick is to find an employer that is going to invest in you, okay, that is going to send you to training, keep you involved, okay, let you move up the ladder. No, you don't start out making six figures, okay, changing oil and busting tires. But you can work your way up to a diagnostician like Ryan did. And that takes a great deal of training. But when you have that level of training, when you have that skill set, that's when you start to see the rewards come in. And I know several technicians, quite honestly, that are making six figures. I know they tend to bristle when a lot of people talk about that as the starting salary. That's not true. But the opportunity is there. And generally, the starting salaries are getting pretty respectable as well, because, again, we're competing with every other industry out there. Plus, you mentioned the supply chain side. I ran a parts store for a while, and parts distributors love to get ex-technicians because they understand the product and they understand the customer. So you really have choices, and I think that's what it's all about, is the choices that you have.
AAPEX 2024 and Joe's Garage is your main destination to experience the best business management and technical training. You'll find training for ADAS calibration, high-voltage vehicle technology, advanced drivability, diagnosing turbo problems, ultrasonic diagnostics, and fixing the no start, among others. Go to AAPEXshow.com to register and see all your course options. Business management sessions will include driving shop profits through shop production, revolutionizing service advising, what Gen Y and Z are looking for in the workplace, building a dream team, and designing recession-resilient SOPs. Many of the industry's top trainers will lead the training, including Eric Ziegler, Greg Bunch, Rich Falco, Rick White, Cecil Bullard, Bill Haas, and Sarah Frazier, along with Keith Perkins, Isaac Rodell, and Robert Kenny, just to name a few. These sessions were picked from a panel of shop owners who reviewed more than 400 submissions. In addition, Joe's Garage will feature live car training sessions, including everything EV, Tesla drive train problem solving, an overview of Tesla information resources, and factory scan tools. This year, many training topics align with ASE certification tests, which will help participants prepare for certifications noted in session descriptions. There is an AAPEX special seminar package, which includes 5 training sessions of your choice. For more information and to register for AAPEX 2024 in Las Vegas, November 5th through the 7th, go to AAPEXshow.com. Hey, let's face it. Your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. Napa Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing Trax to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, we'll be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NapaTrax, that's NapaTracs.com. Hey, ever wonder how your labor rate compares to your market and state? You now have a site where you can confidentially upload your rate and see other labor rates published in your market. LaborRateTracker.com is an important site to know about. Currently, the database has over 1,000 shops participating and growing every day. But there's more to setting your rates than finding out what others charge. You should look at the labor rates in your state and town to gain a complete picture of the labor rate landscape. Hey, it's easy. Get market intelligence like never before at LaborRateTracker.com. The word of late that I've been talking to some people about is passion. And when you talk to these really high-level technology specialists, the ones that you can, in your mind, stop and think, wearing a lab coat, have a tablet in front of them and all this electronic gear, attempting to figure everything out. They always go back to read the technical service bulletins. You got to go back and read the service information. If I could sum it up, they have a passion. They're earning big money because they have a passion to always be a perpetual student and to try to figure out their craft. And what comes in every day is nothing routine. It's always different. So you have to have a passion for that. And you have that passion, I believe the big money comes.
Absolutely. And that's true for any career track you care to mention. The more engaged you are, it was true for me when I got into publishing, something totally different. But what is interesting to me is that all along the way, and I've made several career changes, I probably qualify as a millennial, but the long and short of it is what got me the opportunities along the way, including the job at Chilton and eventually becoming the editor of Motor Age, was my technical background. That was important. I had a degree in journalism. But quite honestly, when I graduated college, that's how I got into the industry. I started turning wrenches full time because I was making more money doing that part time than I was as a cub reporter for a newspaper in Philadelphia that doesn't even exist anymore. So again, if there is such a thing as job security anymore, I believe it's in the trades, because the old saying, can't outsource an oil change. Well, there's more to it than that. The level of skills that you need, and more to the point, the level of knowledge that you need to maintain to keep those skills up to snuff makes you a very valuable commodity.
Tony, you just got me thinking about all the different career opportunities / changes you've had. Was it because you were looking for something better, different, more challenging? Were you ever out of work and then had to reinvent yourself? Because I think all of these concept of, well, I'll just hang around and wait for the next opportunity, I believe the answer to that is no, you got to go for it.
You have to look for it. But I have to tell you a quick funny story. When we moved to Texas, my daughter decided she wanted to become a teacher. And I said, okay, now you need a master's degree. So she did her graduate work here in Texas. And when she got out, she said, I need to start applying for jobs, but I never wrote a resume. Can you help me do that? I said, absolutely. I have resumes going back. I'll get one up. We'll dust it off and we'll get it done. I found the file on my computer. The last time I opened it was in 1981. Okay. That was when I went to work for Chilton. I'd like to think I planned all this, but all along the way, I was given opportunities that I recognized. And again, right place, right time, right skill set, I was able to take advantage of. For example, when I was working for the Buick dealership, I was the only tech on the line that had a college degree. So it was journalism, but it was a college degree. So they offered me the service manager's job. Okay. I worked as a Fiat service manager for a couple of years. And then I ended up, Fiat pulled out of the country. I ended up going to work on the parts side of the business. I figured I'd try something different. Again, the fact that I was an ex-technician and I had management experience, they let me run a store. That's how I met the guy at Chilton. And then when I decided I was tired of being a parts store manager, was like a 70-hour-a-week job back then. And I think my feet just couldn't take it anymore. But one day someone walked into the store and said, I've been watching you work. I'm looking for a salesperson to come to work for me. Would you be interested in the job? And that was the Chilton job.
Wow, cool. Door to door at the shops, right, with the books?
That's what's been happening all along. The job for ASE was the same way. I got to meet the CEO of ASE. They were looking for someone, but again, they were interested in the fact that I was a technician. I worked, in the industry. Having that basic technical knowledge can take you places we can't even begin to dream of.
Tony, here I am. I'm a diagnostician mechanical specialist. I'm working in a shop and I'm waiting for someone to fly their drone over and say, look at that person. Wow, look at him and look at her. I know that doesn't exist. I get
Well, wait a week.
I'm being facetious for one particular reason, and that is there's poaching that goes on in our industry. We're looking for really good people. So we're putting up some great ads and we're really trying to draw people. But there's an awful lot of people that are so good at what they're doing, but they're stuck, Tony. They're stuck in a really bad end job. The culture's not pure enough and they just don't see how they can move forward. How do we go out and find these gems that are covered up with a blanket?
Well, that's interesting because it's been my experience in life. If you find yourself going through the motions, it's time to move on. Okay. If you're not, as you said, passionate about what you're doing, if you don't look forward to going in every day, it's time to look around. They will find you. Okay. If you are the type of individual that runs a business where your own employees are your best recruiters, okay, because they talk. Word of mouth is still the biggest recruiting tool. That's kind of how I got through it. But the long and short of it was I think it's important to be open and always prospecting for talent. Okay. You have to be looking for it. You have to be thinking about it all the time. Again, if you're a business owner, particularly in the independent repair market, I think that you have individuals that pass through all the time, but your employees, especially if they've been with you for a while, are generally a pretty good source of recruiting talent when you're talking about it. Word tends to spread.
I want to chat and get your opinion on finding the right employers. Here I am, a individual, whatever part of my life I'm at, but I'm looking for another opportunity. And it could be the first opportunity I have right out of CTE college or an apprentice program out of high school. You got any tips for us on how to find the right employer?
I've talked to a lot of students. In fact, I interviewed several of them in Florida a number of years ago, and I was impressed when I asked them what they're looking for in an employer. Because they're interviewing you too, by the way. The first thing you want is someone who's willing to invest in you. They're not just looking for a warm body. Tell me what you're going to do to keep my skills sharp. The compact between an employer and an employee these days is, I promise you that when you decide to leave, because statistically you're going to change jobs 8 or 9 times, okay, if you're one on the younger side. I can't guarantee you'll have a job for life, but I can guarantee that if you decide to leave, you're going to be employable. Okay, that's number one. Are you going to send me to training? Are you going to keep my skills sharp? The next conversation is, okay, I have a family. What do your benefits packages look like? Things like 401ks. A lot of the younger generation I talk with don't believe Social Security is going to be here for them. Who knows if they're right or not? But for that reason, they're more interested in the type of investments like 401ks, et cetera, as part of what they're looking for an employer. Again, flexibility, I think, is key. Individuals, again, are more interested in personal time. They want to have life experiences. They really don't want to work. So, do you have flexible working hours? When is your shop open? Is it a 5-day-a-week thing? Is there a Saturday thing? How many, what's your vacation policy like? Pretty standard stuff, if you ask me. But it's more important these days to understand that what you're competing with are companies that are offering very attractive benefits packages for their employees, and they're looking for the same level of technical talent that you are. They may not be in the automotive repair business, but they're looking for the same level of technical talent. And they realize they can build off of what technical training you may have, especially on the electrical side as an automotive technician.
Yeah, you got a toolbox, baby, and you're great with your hands. You don't have to fix cars. You can come over to my place and work on this CNC machine and fix all this other stuff for us. I mean, it was a couple of years ago, we did an episode, or Matt Fonslow did an episode about a great top technology specialist guy, and he went to work on forklifts.
Sure. I mean, there's lots of opportunities along those lines that most people don't even think about. Medium and heavy truck market. If you're an automotive technician, medium and heavy truck operations will train you up. And now we're talking corporate jobs. Some of them still have pensions. But I think it's personally important when you're looking and talking to an employer, talk to some of the employees that are there and learn about their culture. That's what's most important. It doesn't matter they can pay all the money in the world. If the place is horrible to work for and you're abused all the time, you're not going to last. You're not going to stay there. So I think it's important that you look at the whole package of what you're going for. And again, number one is, hey, does this place look like a place I'd want to work? So appearance is important too.
You're right. And people say, well, culture, God, it's a heavy word, culture. Let me think. What's culture like? And I love to be able to describe culture. And it was Shari Pheasant who said this to me one day. She says, Carm, culture is like the climate. So if you're in the place and you're looking around and you're getting for a feel, what's the climate there? Is it sunny, smiles? Is it raining in Bay 3? You can sense an awful lot by the climate of a place. And I keep thinking about this incredible employer attitude shift in really trying to do everything they possibly can to hire great talent and realize that there's a work-life balance that they have to respect and give them all the freedoms in the world to sometimes pick their own hours. I mean, listen, I got to take my kid into daycare every morning. So I'm going to be late every day. Oh, let's change your hours so that you're not late. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's happening in top shops today.
And the best shops do not have a problem finding the best talent because the best talent finds them. If you want to talk to somebody in the industry who's got a great idea of the relationship that's important as a business owner and your employees, Do you know Frank Leutz in
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Talk to Frank? He's got a great philosophy on life. And there's several shop owners I know that are like that. Very successful shop owners, I might add. And they don't have any trouble at all. In fact, they have a waiting list. In some cases, a couple of shops in Colorado that have a waiting list of technicians that want to come to work for them because their friends got a job there and they just rave about the place.
And they just can't wait. I love your quote, best talent will find you. And that's so true. You know, you and I could go on for a couple of hours, but I love what we just accomplished here in about a half hour. Brilliant stuff, Tony. Thank you so much. Talking to parents, talking to students, talking to shop owners. What do we have to do to engage our young people and keep the people we have and commit to them long-term for training and benefits? Wow.
I'll tell you what, let me offer one piece of advice. There's something that the ASE Education Foundation has called Adopt a Shop or Adopt a School, okay? And if you're interested in that information, the website is aseeducation, all one word, .org. Look up Adopt a School. It's a great, easy way to get involved. We can, make connections between local industry anywhere in the country. There's quite a number of field managers just like me that are out there doing it.
I understand that. Is there any kind of outline on that web page or on that website that says, listen, here are, 10 really critical talking points when you get out there to talk to the students or the instructors?
Not specifically, but if you're interested in that, okay, there is a brochure and a pamphlet that we have, I know, that will tell you how to get involved. But there's a better way to do it, Carm. My name is on a list. If you go to the website, find a rep, okay, there's a map of the U.S. with all the different field managers there with our phone number and our email address. Whatever area of the country you're in, call that field manager and tell them you want to get involved. How do you do it? We'll be more than happy to help.
That's one of the best pieces of advice I think we have for anyone who knows that, I got to do my part. Well, I don't need anybody right now. It doesn't matter. Become a pillar of your community into the CTE programs. Have them want to pick up and call you and say, we need to buy a new tire balancer, road force. Should I buy it? You need to become that Oz, all-knowing, all-seeing for your local CTE program. So call Tony. He'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah, or any of the other field managers out there. So,
all right, Tony. Field Sales Manager, ASE Education Foundation, and All-World Automotive Aftermarket. Nice guy.
Carm, it is always a pleasure. Anytime.
Thanks for being here, bud.
Take care.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.